Well, after a pretty long and tumultuous off-season for the Pirates, baseball is finally back. I'm Lance Lysowski, joined by Matt Sunday. We're reporting to you from Bradenton, Florida, on the first day that pitchers and catchers report. Matt, it's been an interesting few days, hasn't it been?
Baseball's back, baby.
It's hard to believe. Wednesday, first formal workout, so pretty much everybody you would expect to be here is here, but what was kind of a surprise to me, Matt, is a few of the position players actually showed up. Well, actually more than a few showed up earlier than everybody kind of anticipated.
Yeah, we saw, even going back 2 days now, we've seen more guys around the clubhouse than we did when we were down here last year. And I don't know if that's a sign of guys wanting to get back to work early. I don't know if that's because there's no World Baseball Classic this year and guys don't have to work around that. But, there's kind of a buzz around the locker room. A lot of what you've written is guys being positive. Everybody's always positive at the beginning of camp. And, really, these guys are just ready to get to work. We saw a lot of people throwing the ball today, obviously, because it's, pitchers and catchers reporting. But the position players are pretty anxious to start fielding some ground balls, and we even saw some home runs almost peg us in the head.
It's funny to look at the guys who have showed up in terms of position players. Well, of course, Sean Rodriguez, he needs to get the work in after missing so much time last season. And he lives in Tampa, so if he wants to, he can get up and see his family probably for the weekend before the position players and the full squad workout begins next week. But the one that surprised me, Jordy Mercer, that's a guy who really doesn't have to work on a whole lot, in terms of, he played the entire season last year, was healthy. But Colin Moran, new acquisition from the Astros, he's here early. Josh Bell, all the younger guys. So it seems like everybody, the young guys want to make a good first impression, and the older guys really want to kind of set the tone for what this team is going to try to be in 2018, despite the fact that I think, me and everybody else is kind of ruling them out as any type of potential playoff team.
Yeah, obviously the new guys want to get in. They want to start getting to work. We saw Jordy down here early last year. I thought that was kind of interesting at the time, and now with another year under his belt, he really likes working with the younger guys, especially, tell you what, man, a couple of those young shortstops with Newman and Cole Tucker. Cole Tucker's got kind of like that lengthy build, similar to like a Jordy Mercer. He's not quite as thick, but man, just watching each other take the reps and whatnot, him being around those younger guys can only do good things for the organization. And then same thing with Josh Bell. He's down here early last year, but he's working to get things back. He didn't start taking swings off of tees last year for a week or so, and now he's down here early. He's hitting in the cage every morning. He was doing work out there before the pitchers and catchers started doing any work of their own. Just talk about a couple guys that are pretty anxious to get going.
Yeah, and Josh Bell showed up last month for voluntary workouts, and he just talked about the fact that, he has a full season of Major League experience under his belt, and he had some success, but he still feels like he has a lot to prove and wants to show this staff that he's taking it seriously, that he wants his development to continue rather than just be content with what he was able to accomplish in, what was another non-playoff season for the Pirates, and these guys want to change that. And, of course, Clint Hurdle talked to reporters for the first time this spring after Wednesday's workout, and Matt, not a whole lot of surprises there. He said exactly what I kind of expected. Of course, he voiced his belief, his confidence that this group can make the playoffs. That echoes what Neil Huntington has said, and that actually echoes what some of the veterans, including Francisco Cervelli, has said. What I found interesting is he thinks that they can replace the production that was lost with Cole and McCutchen gone, and he indicated Joe Musgrove, the starting pitcher, acquired from the Astros, is going to be put in the rotation. Colin Moran's going to be the starting third baseman. Matt, it's all well and good. Clint Hurdle's being positive. He's saying all the things you'd expect Clint Hurdle to say, but I'm just not buying it at this point. Games haven't been played, and I just don't know if this team realistically will have enough to fulfill these expectations that they're laying down at the beginning of spring training.
Well, your manager's always going to be ambitious, right? Like, that's a given. He's going to show up and he's going to tell people that they're going to win, much like the players have been doing. But he was he really wanted to move on from Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole. He was asked about it, obviously, early and a couple of times, really, with his first media availability. And he pushed on through it. Got a little bit of that.
He got testy.
Yeah,
got testy.
You have to. He needs to move on from them. You can't keep really dwelling on that story, and they have to find a way to replace the production. But can you? I mean, that's obviously the question. They're putting a lot of faith in Colin Moran, a guy who's played, 15 to 20 games.
16 games in the major leagues.
I mean, but apparently the changes that he made last year, everybody believes that he can have the type of pop that you saw guys who adjusted to the kind of fly ball swing last year. With the smaller strike zone and with a lot of guys seeing more fastballs, really, I mean, that can lend itself to more home runs, but it's a position that they could use some power in, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they obviously are running quite the risk here. One of the worst power hitting teams in Major League Baseball last season, Andrew McCutchen, led the team in home runs. He's gone. And you're probably going to start Adam Frazier in left field, I would think, is going to get the most starts out there. Not a power hitter, Matt. And, they brought in Daniel Nava as a possible platoon. Not a power hitter. Sean Rodriguez might be able to contribute, if he returns to his 2016 form, hits 18 home runs, whatever. You're really gambling here. There are strengths, though. Okay, we'll set aside all the weaknesses this team has. We talked about that time and time again. Now, with the bullpen being as crowded as it is, a lot of options right there for Clint Hurdle. Not unusual for spring training. Neil Huntington likes to get him a lot of guys to work with. The rotation's filled out now from what it looks like with Daniel. Jeez. Nova, Chad Kuhl, Jameson Taillon, Trevor Williams, and Joe Musgrove. So we kind of have an idea. Those are your 5 guys. Now, Tyler Glasnow, as I think the guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the spring. I talked to Jacob Stallings today out of curiosity. Stallings caught him throughout the season last year at AAA, saw that progression, and caught his bullpen session during the workout on Wednesday. Now, everybody's optimistic about Glasnow's ceiling. They continue to comment that taller guys take longer to develop. He's going to figure it out. He has all the talent in the world. But, Matt, when he's not going to be given a rotation spot, that's not going to happen this year. He's going to have to prove himself in the bullpen. He's going to have to pitch very well, I think, in spring training to even earn that opportunity. My question is, how is he going to handle that? Because this is a guy, I mean, you've shot him on the mound. You've kind of seen how he reacts. I don't know how he will respond to potentially taking on a lesser role to be in the major leagues and learn like that.
Well, that's the real question, right? Because anybody who looks at the guy knows that not only is this guy a physical freak, that he's got the kind of energy for the game and the excitement for the game that it takes to succeed, but every time he slips up, and he was excited after his bullpen session today. You saw it. As soon as he went for that fist bump with Stallings, I mean, he had a big smile on his face. He was just happy to be thrown off of a hill again. I think it's a guy that if he starts to struggle early, we're going to get a real quick look at whether or not he's matured at all mentally, where he can withstand something like having a guy steal on him or throwing a ball into the dirt a few feet in front of home plate, and whether or not he's going to be able to make an adjustment on the mound without requiring Ray Searage, who it's so obvious that he puts that extra effort in with him. He knows how volatile he can be out there. And it's going to be a fine line, because every time he's touched the mound and the slightest thing goes wrong, you just watch it unravel. I mean, when you start to see, like last year, a couple situations where he was stolen on, and then just you could just watch the mental breakdown occur on the mound, and it wasn't until Searage took a trip out that he started to settle down. I think we're going to have to wait until he's put in that situation in actual games down here and see how he's going to respond to those types of adversity.
Yeah, and another piece of this, of course, everybody's so tired of hearing number 5 starter battles, and we know what the situation is going to be in left. I think that's going to be more of a platoon anyways. Now, the bullpen, I think, is interesting. And we talk about Glass now, but there's so many options for Clint Hurdle here. Felipe Rivero is going to be out there. George Contos is going to be out there, another proven veteran guy. Daniel Hudson, sprained ankle, first day of workouts. Who knows how long he'll be out. He was in a walking boot afterwards. I tend to think that he's not as sure of a bet to make this opening day roster as everybody makes him out to be. If they trade him, they would have to absorb all the salary or get nothing in return. I think that's a possibility here, because let's look. They're not going to carry 8 relievers into the season, because there's a lot of off days in April compared to other months in the year, so they can kind of wait. And they've got some very intriguing young options. I think they want to get Glasnow in the bullpen. They want to get Brault in the bullpen. They've got guys like Michael Feliz, Kyle Crick, Edgar Santana, Davidas Neverauskas. depends on what look they're trying to go here, because it's not like Daniel Hudson was good last year. He was a disaster. It just depends. If these younger guys show them enough in spring training, this is going to be the thing to watch, because let's think about this. Kyle Crick was the biggest acquisition for Andrew McCutchen. There's a lot resting on this kid's shoulders, and when you look at what he was able to accomplish with the Giants last year, it wasn't good enough. I mean, the numbers were okay, but he was working in the sixth inning when the Giants were down by 6 runs. So I'm just curious to see how this all works out.
Yeah, they were down a lot. It's tough to hold somebody accountable for
the performance of their teammates.
I mean, it's the Giants really struggled last year when they played anybody but the Pirates. But you brought up Feliz. You hear that ball? Man, the pop on that catcher's mitt that he was seeing.
You see why they traded for him.
I mean, he's a big, strong guy. When he stands next to Nova, they have a similar body type.
Exactly the
thick,
same.
Strong. He almost, if you see his silhouette in the distance, he almost looks like a thinner Stephon Tuitt in the build, where he's just a thick from his neck down to his calves. He's just a thick guy. And, they obviously like Steven Brault. You hear it in the way that Clint Hurdle talks to him when he says, Steven.
And they need another lefty. And I think with where starting rotations how they're being used now, you're going to mix in a sixth starter every once in a while, more so than you did in years past, because, I mean, just the usage. They're not going to want Ivan Nova to have to start that many games. They're going to want to mix in maybe an extra day off or somebody like Tayo, and after everything he went through last year. They're going to want to monitor these guys' workloads, and, hey, why not, if Brault is able to do it, if they have Glass now at their disposal, throw in a spot start. And, of course, when you have guys who can handle multiple innings, it gives you a lot of options as a manager. I think that's something to keep into consideration here as spring training begins.
And let's look at the trend across baseball, too, because we're seeing starting pitchers throwing fewer and fewer innings.
It's got to continue, and the Pirates are going to start doing it.
It's going to keep going that way, and you're going to see that first bullpen guy is going to come out and he's going to throw 2 or 3 innings, similar to ways that they've used like Juan Nicasio in the past couple of seasons. But guys like Glasnow and Brault are both going to be guys that are eligible to do that for you, and depending on their success, it'll take a lot off the shoulders of the shorter inning guys. And the Pirates obviously have a guy in the 9th inning that's going to go out there and throw flames for you. So if you can get to that spot, you're pretty much going to have a chance.
Well, position players continue to show up. Starling Marte looks like he showed up on Wednesday. So there's going to be a lot to discuss here in the next few days, Matt. We got Gregory Polanco, who's going to be coming. There's going to be a few questions directed towards Josh Harrison after his, I guess you want to call it a trade demand. It was more of a statement or maybe an ultimatum, I guess, after Andrew McCutchen was traded. So, hey, first full squad workout is next week. We're here through next Tuesday. So there's going to be plenty of coverage to come on the website. We'll check in with you guys again with a podcast later in the week. And, hey, stay tuned. Thanks for reading. Thanks for listening. He's Matt Sunday. I'm Lance Lysowski. Join us next time.